review a little bit of what we did last week. Okay? So if I have x squared plus 5x plus 6, and I say factor this. Okay, so just do this on the back side of the sheet that you have right there. We're on page 32 for those of you that are lost. Okay, so if we want to factor this, okay, we have our two sets of parentheses, right? Okay, what times what gets me to x squared? X and x. So we know that we're going to have x and x, right? Okay. What are two things that I can multiply together to get to 6? 3 and 2 would work. Okay. Does 3 and 2 add up to 5? All right. So we know that it's going to be a 3 and a 2. What are my signs going to be? A plus and a plus. Yep, they're both going to be pluses. Okay. What if I have w squared minus 12w plus 36? Alright, so now my factors. How am I getting to w squared? W and w. What's an option to get to 36? 6 and 6, okay. Does 6 and 6 get me to 12? Alright. So we've got 6 and 6. What are my signs going to be? Good. Minus and minus, because negative 6 times negative 6 gets me to positive 36. And negative 6 plus negative 6 gets me to negative 12. Very good. Okay. What about x squared? Let's go with minus 11x plus 28. All right, so now, how am I getting to x squared? X and x. What's an option for 28? 7 and 4? Oh, this isn't the problem I wanted, but you're right. 7 and 4. What are my signs going to be? Negative and negative again. Good. Okay. All right, one more, because I screwed up and put up the wrong one that I didn't want, but let's go with m squared plus 5m minus 6. Alright, so how am I getting to m squared? M and m. Let me get to 6. Okay, 2 and 3 would be an option. Okay, 6 and 1 is going to be an option. Okay, which one, how are we going to know which one? Well, okay, but we got to be careful here because it's going to be a negative 6, so I have to have a what and a what? I have to have a positive and a negative, right? So if I use 6 and 1, which one would have to be positive? I'd have to go positive 6 and negative 1. Because positive 6 and negative 1 is going to get me to a positive 5. You're right. Okay? All right. So that's what we did last week, right? Today gets a whole lot harder. Okay? And the reason why it gets a whole lot harder is because because our polynomial is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. And now our a, we've been used to just a being what number? What number is a been in all the ones that we factored so far? 1, yeah. Because there hasn't been anything out in front of it, so it's just been a 1. So now all the ones that we're going to do is going to have an a value of greater than 1. So it's going to be something out in front of a. Okay? Now, reason why today can get pretty frustrating is because most of this is guess and check. Okay? So there's only one correct answer, but there's a bunch of different possibilities that you just have to keep checking to see which one is the right one. Okay? So we started with our two sets of parentheses. What do I multiply together to get to 2x squared? All right, so we're going to have a 2x and an x. What do I multiply together to get to 3? 3 and 1. But now here's the deal. We got to figure out where that 3 and that 1 go, because it's going to change based on where we're at. Okay, so if we put 1 and 3 right here, trade, you need to pay attention. Okay, so if this is my case, okay, we need to check to see if my middle term is correct. Okay, and the two things that you need to check the outsides. So 2x times 3 is, so 6x plus, and then you got to do the insides. 1 times x is 1x. Does that get you to 5x? No. So this one is up. How does that work? Okay, so we got to retry. We know that it's going to be 2x and x, right? Those are my only possibilities multiplied 2. What do I multiply? What did we say for 3? We said 3 and 1. It didn't work for us to go 1 and 3, so what do you suppose we should do? Go 3 and 1, yeah. So flip-flop those. Okay, and then check. 2x times 1 is 2x plus, and then you've got 3 times x is 3x. Does that get you to 5x? Yeah. So my factors are 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Okay, so in example 2, how am I getting to 5m? 5m. Yeah, 5m and m. Okay. What are my possibilities to getting to 6? 3 and 2 and 6 and 1. Right? Those are my pairings right now. So now we got to decide which one it's going to be. Right? Okay, so this is kind of how I think about it sometimes. If I'm going to use 3 and 2, okay, if I put a 3 right here, how many m's is that going to give me? Yeah, because we've got, right there is going to give me a 15, right? So then what would I put here? 2. And so I have a 15 and a 2. Is that going to get me to 17? Sweet. So I'm on the right track. Now I've got to figure out my signs. Where are my signs going to be in these? You think so? They've got to be both minuses, because a minus times the minus is going to give me that plus 6. Okay? So now when I multiply this, 5 times negative 3 gives me negative 5 times negative 3, negative 15m, and negative 2 times m, negative 2m. Does that get me to negative 17? Yes. Okay. Today on your assignment, I need to see this, that you checked to see if it was the correct answer. Comprende? Alright. Alright, so example 3. We've got 6y squared. What are my possibilities? I could use 2y and 3y. What else could I use? y, and y, right? Okay, so how are you to know which one to use? Yeah, you just gotta try it. Okay, I don't necessarily like to call it guess and check, but try and check. Okay, so 3y and 2y. How am I getting to a negative 4? We could use negative 2. Well, we can't use negative 2 and negative 2. We could use negative 2 and positive 2. What else could I use? 4 and 1. So there's all kinds of possibilities right now, right? Who wants to take a stab at it? Who thinks they've got it? You think it's 4 right here and 1 over there? Okay, which one do you think is positive and which one do you think is negative? And then we'll check it. Okay, so let's check this now, because I think you're on the right track. 3y times a positive 1 gives me a 3y. And then you've got a negative 4 times 2y gives me a negative 8y. Does that get you to that negative 5y in the middle? Yeah, so is this right? Yes, no, maybe so? It is. Good job. Okay? Alright, I want you to try right now, number 1. Anybody think they got it? What do you use to get to your x squared? 4x and x. What do you use to get to your negative 5? Plus 1 and minus 5. Okay, so 4x times negative 5 gives me negative 20x. 1 times x gives me plus 1x. Does that give me the negative 19x? Woo! Golden. Okay, not so bad, right? Starting to come a little bit. All right, try number 2. Who thinks they've got it? A few people still writing. Okay. Okay. Jason, think you do? No, not yet. How is yours going, Chris? Think you got it? What did you use for your k squared? 1 and what? 6 and k. All right. And then what did you use for your 2? Ooh, but you got to multiply. So what multiplies together to get you to 2? What do you got to use? 2 times 1. Okay, so where did you put your 2 at? Ah, dang it. And that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen when it doesn't quite figure out the way that you want it to. Who else wants? Sam, what do you have? Okay, but 1 and 1, what's 1 times 1? Is 1, not 2. Okay, so 1 and 1 is not going to work. It's going to have to be a 2 and a 1 at the end. What do you think, Kaden? You put the 1 right here and the 2 right here. Okay, 6k times 2 is going to give me 12. Yep, so that one's not going to work. But that's okay, guys, because that's part of the process, is coming up with things that might possibly work, but then eventually it's just, you're going to have to come to the right answer. What do you think you have to do, Bearsy? Alright, so you're thinking we got to change this to 3 and 2, so 3k and 2k. And then what? So you went with a plus 2, a plus 2 and a minus 1? Plus 1, plus and plus, okay. Because 3 times 1 gives me 3k. 2 times 2 gives me 2 times 2 gives me 4k. Does that give you 7k? Yeah, so we've got 3k plus 2 and 2k plus 1. So those of us that had the wrong one, that's okay, right? Because then it's part of the process of, okay, that one didn't work, now I've got to try a different one, right? And eventually, you're going to get to the point where it comes a little bit faster and you're able to kind of figure out those combinations a little bit easier, right? Okay, but is today going to be